Wu-Sabat, Wu-Sabat. Greetings to our YouTube family out there. Greetings to our YouTube family out there. Kabul means welcome. Kabul means welcome. Greetings. We are back with Wu-Sabat. We are back with Wu-Sabat. We've been away for a while, but we are back with Wu-Sabat. This is episode 71, right? This is our 71st episode. Episode 71. We're back. And we have a lot to say. We have a lot to cover. In the culture of Wu-Sabat. The culture of Wu-Sabat is here to change the conditions on the planet. The culture of Wu-Sabat is here to change the conditions of our people. The culture of Wu-Sabat is here to set the record straight. For those who do not know me, my name is Petty Sina Teptu A, and I've been over a 30-year student teacher of the profound doctrine of the master teacher, known to us as Panabab Yananic, also known as Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been teaching us our ancient culture. We identify as Wu-Sabat, also known as Wu-Nawap, which stands for those who make decisions based on sound right reasonability, based on the principles of Ma'at, based on the wisdom of the Hutri. In essence, our culture is based on living in harmony with natural nature. Our culture is based on living in harmony with natural nature. This is how our ancestors used to live prior to 6,000 years ago. The Sands and Chua tribe. They lived the culture of Wu-Sabat. You find traces of the culture of Wu-Sabat during dynastic Egypt. We identified as Noon, or we said NoopooH. When the Greeks conquered us and they learned about it, they called it Nous. You can look it up. Nous, Noon, NoopooH, Nawapu, Wu-Sabat is all the same thing. It's based on making decisions based on sound right reasonability, being in tune with natural nature. We argue our people are suffering due to the fact we got away from our original culture. Our original culture is what taught us how to build magnificent societies, civilizations that you find in our history and origins. Ancient Egypt is just one of many that we built and designed. We had an advanced culture, high sciences. This is why today they have no idea how we built those pyramids, right? perfect geometric structures. We come from a very advanced and high culture, and we fell from grace. We've lost our way. And we've lost our way because we gotten away from our culture, Wu-Sabat. And now we live in foreign cultures, Western culture. That's totally opposite to the culture of Wu-Sabat. Western culture is about being adverse to nature as opposed to living a culture being in harmony with nature. Western culture, but just within the last 500 years, look what it's done to the planet, where the planet is on a path of self-destruction, natural disasters everywhere, war everywhere, suffering everywhere, poverty everywhere, greed everywhere. The culture of Wu-Sabat was about being in harmony, creating balance within society. Western culture is just the opposite. And so we say, if our people, melanated, woolly hair people all over the globe, want to get back to a culture of vibrance and to get back to a life of power and respect and honor, then it becomes your best interest to not just educate yourself about Wu-Sabat, study the culture of Wu-Sabat, learn the culture of Wu-Sabat, and advocate the culture of Wu-Sabat. Live the culture of Wu-Sabat. Teach your family and friends the culture of Wu-Sabat. If you want to see the suffering go away, this is the solution. This is the answer to the problems. This is salvation information. And so I'm just one of many student teachers that has dedicated myself to doing my best to explain the culture of Wu-Sabat to our people. I'm not perfect, right? I'm striving for perfection. I'm not perfect, but I'm striving for perfection. All students of Wu-Sabat strive for perfection, to turn themselves inside out. So I do make mistakes. I know I do. I made a couple actually in some of the lectures. I wanted to address that when I have time. That needs to be corrected. But if you're studying and listen to our lectures, you may find them. And by all means, let me know. I have no problem making corrections as needed, because the last thing we want to do is give misinformation out to our people. Our goal is to help you make your life better, to help you in your decision-making abilities, so that all your decisions will be based on sound, right, reasonability. This is what we're about. So we always say, spread the word, support what we're doing, NoopooH.org. We always tell people, support the mission of NoopooH Community Circle, our web program. You know, if anyone wants to find out, well, how can you help us? You help us. This is our website. Become a member, right? Become a member of NoopooCC.com. This is how you help. You know, this is how you help. By becoming a member. It's our own social network we want to build. How else can we network with together? How else can we support one another? This is how we develop ourselves. This is how we grow, by learning to work and support one another, support Blackness. The last lecture we did was Black magic versus white magic. White magic is where our people are constantly supporting whiteness. White corporations, white industries, white educational systems, everything controlled by white people, white politicians, the list goes on and on. That's giving power to white magic. If you want power, then you have to support Black magic. Give power to Blackness. Give power to Blackness. Right? Each one teach one. Each one teach one. This is how we change the conditions that we're dealing with. One person at a time. One person at a time. So we always say, introduce one individual into the culture. Help them. Guide them. Make them your responsibility in the culture, Wu-Sabat, to be better. With all that being said, before we get started, we like to always open up our discussions with a prayer or a namaz or affirmations or sayings, words of positive affirmations that we say, right? Because our culture is about, it's a spiritual science. It's about re-educating ourselves spiritually. That's what the master teacher represents. Dr. Malachi Z.K. York is a spiritual master teacher, because we've lost our spiritual science. As melanated, African, woolly-haired people, Black people around the globe, We always had and lived by spiritual science because we knew existence was not just what we acknowledged materially, but existence what we acknowledged spiritually. One could not exist without the other. We knew this. And we always stood out our ancestors, always giving homage to our ancestors who lived in higher dimensional realms. And we knew how to communicate with them. In fact, that's what today's discussion, we're going to get into that, is how to communicate with your ancestors. The techniques of meditation, the techniques of concentration. So let's get started with our namas, our prayer system. So we do it in our lahaj, which means language, Sabaid, and then I'll translate it into English. Badei kalal namasa wufak or aman kasamun shalal pod. That means begin all prayer and thinking as a part of all. Pasawat wupatara. Panen safa kawun. Pasawat wupatara. Z kawuna nazula laha ankum. Maneh sabat Wu-Sabat. Ameh hadayan shafayun. Maneh salafu wunataru. Ajula yana fasukum. Afuk shana kawun kuma. Pasawat wupatara. This book is the truth and the way. It was sent down for you all from Sabat Wu-Sabat, star constellation, as a guidance and a healing from your ancestors and overseers. Return to your own, accept what is yours, the truth and the way. Anun tawa ankum laha panan shafayun wu alaj. Anun tawa ankum laha nasuinun. Anun tawa ankum laha ashuk. Ankum atta salafunun. Anun atta kharadukum. Anum talub nasakuma, anum talub nasakuma, and so nun sayam nataru, and so nun salafu nun, anun atamunwapu. We thank you all for this healing and cure. We thank you all for not forgetting us. We thank you all for Ashuk. You are our ancestors. We are your children. We seek your help. We seek your help. Help us, divine overseers. Help us, our ancestors. We are Musba'u. Anun, Atun, Atun, Amun. Jadeh Wawad. Jadeh Wawad stands for very good. Now, as all of those who follow us, before we get started in our discussions, we like to go over the core principles of Wu-Sabat. It is imperative that you understand the core principles of Wu-Sabat. All of our discussions are centered around these core principles. So Wu-Sabat is about applying it into your actions and deeds. So we explain it, we go over the core principles, and then when you listen to our lectures and discussions, you can see how those core principles play in to the lectures and discussions, how one should be applying these things within their actions and deeds in their lives, and to teach family and friends, right? Those who know better, do better. Those who know better, do better. Those who know better should be doing better. How else can we change conditions without being able to share this information to those around us? This is how we make the planet better. This is how we change the conditions, by changing our ways. And it first starts with the person in the mirror, which is you. First principle is Ashak. Existence is based on Ashak, stands for divine love. This is existence, creation, energy itself is Ashak, divine love. Is a harmonic frequency of bliss and tranquility and happiness and peacefulness. This blackness that grows all, that's Ashak. And as students of Wu-Sabat, we are all obligated and dedicated to tap back into that creative source in which we came from. We did a lecture on that, so I highly recommend to check out the lectures. We always say watch the lectures, the discussions more than once. I do it myself. Watch the lectures and discussions more than once and share, spread it. Let people know this is how we're going to change the world, by people understanding these principles. Principle number 2 is resurrection, becoming goddesses and gods again by learning to open your third eye. This is something our people don't have no clue about. They have an inner being, an inner power that they can use. Stop looking for power outside of yourself. Power is in yourself, but you have to develop it. You must use your willpower to develop your own power, and you don't have to be looking for any savior outside yourself. That's why Wu-Sabat is salvation information, because it teaches you how to restore your godlike abilities, provided it's based on Ashak. Principle number 3 is the wisdom of Dahutri and Ma'at. Dahutri stands for divine mind. Ma'at stands for order. We did discussions on that, so definitely study those lectures. Very powerful discussions we did on those two principles. Principle number 4 is relationships. As melanated, woolly-haired people, we always lived up for and by each other. When you study African, Native American culture, we always had community living. We weren't capitalists, socialists, communists, fascists, Marxists. None of these isms we're living today. It doesn't work. It destroys the system, the planet we live on. Our culture was designed to maintain harmony on the planet, supporting one another. Capitalism is about exploiting one another. Check out our lecture we did on relationships. Principle number 5 is morphic resonance / matrix. Morphic resonance deals with sounds, tones, frequencies, colors, vibrations. And matrices are the manifestations of those things. Everything in existence is vibration. Everything in existence is vibration. Manifestation is the principles of vibrating things that manifest into material matter. And we call that object matrices. The human body is a matrix based on vibrations. Principle number 6 is Leviathan. Leviathan stands for moon culture, aka religion, aka Western culture. Leviathan is what we've been at war with for the last 6,000 years. It represents the negative spirit forces of nature, the adverse forces that creates chaos. 6 ether, Leviathan represents 6 ether, which is chaos. Moon culture stands for the culture of the dead, those who live by the forces of death. And you see that all over the world, right? The wars all over the place, people who support death culture, that's moon culture. The master teacher's written 6-7 books just on this one topic. Study it and check out our lecture on this topic, Leviathan. Principle number 7 is soul and spirit. Your soul is your emotional force. Your spirit is your life force. We did lectures on that, so check it out. The master teacher wrote a book specifically on this topic, soul and spirit. Principle number 8 is health. The first key to health is a positive mind. As melanated people, sunlight, we require a lot of sunlight. Water, the body is at least 70% water. Fasting, we recommend. The herbal diet, as Dr. Sabi has taught us. Exercise, rhythmic breathing, meditation, concentration, prayer, and chanting. Health is not just what you do physically, but it's also what you do spiritually. Health is it's not what you do physically, but it's also the things you must do spiritually if you want balanced health. The reason why you see so many health problems because our people don't know this. We are not properly educated, and then we're miseducated, and then we develop addictions as children that turn into adult addictions, and so we all have bad eating habits. I'm no exception. I got a bad eating habit that I learned as a child, and one of the points of Wu-Sabat is struggling to overcome these bad addictions that we've learned to eat, sugars and salts and all the things that it literally destroys us and disconnects us in a spiritual way. It is a journey we have to overcome. It would be easier to raise children who don't have these addictions. It's one of the things we teach. If you don't have your health, what else matters? Principle number 9 is poet. Existence itself. We don't say God or Allah or anything like that. The ancient term my ancestors used was poet. It stood for all existence, the creative force. And we knew existence was based on what we call the SMAT, space, matter, and time. It's an acronym. It's what it stands for. That existence is based on perpetual cycles, sun cycles and moon cycles to sun cycles, cycles that are conducive for non-ether beings who represent the sun, and cycles that are conducive for 6 ether beings who represent the moon. The difference between the life cycles and the death cycles. We knew those things, and we knew existence itself, or creation energy, we called it akach. When the Greeks came into our culture, they called it ether. Today, scientists call it the quantum field force. It's the same thing, creation energy. We say dark energy, dark matter. It's creation energy. We did a discussion on that, so check it out. Now, as students of Wu-Sabat, we have 3 primary goals. Goal number 1 is to raise the self. Goal number 2 is to fight Leviathan. And goal number 3 is to work to build Sabbatia. Now, goal number 1 in raising the self, you first must be born again as Christians teach, by learning the culture, Wu-Sabat, and to live it. And this is one of the hardest things for us to do, because once you become an adult, we're saying born again like a baby, which means you have to literally erase what you think you know and how you grew up and learn to re-educate yourself through the culture. Most people can't do it. In my experience, and I've been in this culture for the last since 1989, most people cannot do it. And I would say 99% of the people I've come across, they can't give up their old ways. And this is what creates stagnation within our own nation, because we bring the foreign culture, what we learned, the bad habits, into the new culture. It doesn't work that way, family. You got to give up the old in order for the new to work. You got to give up the old in order for the new to work. Again, this is why it goes back to why we teach. Let's focus on the children, because the children don't have those problems. It's very difficult for adults who've been doing something for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years to give up bad habits. Let's do something for the children. That's why I say we have to be able to spread this culture far and wide, so that our people can learn this is the solution, and we can create scenarios to educate our children. So in raising the self is being born again. One of those things is giving up our foreign names, taking on, what we call a Sabaean name. That's one of the first things to do. First rituals, give up the names, correct how you look and dress. When it's appropriate, of course. We still work in the world, so, there are times we have to dress, use Western clothing. But when the time is appropriate, dress your cultural clothing, right? Learn to speak the language. Language is key. If you want to transform and become in tune with your ancestors, language is key. Language is based on tones. It will alter your vibration for the positive. Speak Sabaic. And you must study our doctrine each and every day. This is how you build your sound right reasoning skills. This is how you help yourself or learn to make better decisions. Study the doctrine. There's no excuse if you're not studying the doctrine. How else can you be better? My lectures do but so much. Even if you listen to the lectures of the master, it does but so much. One has to really take the time to study the doctrine, which is why I do the lectures, to help people in their comprehension when they're reading the books. So I go over the books to try to make it easier in a comprehension level, because you can get 10 different students read the same book, and sometimes you walk away with 10 different opinions. We got to get away from that. So this is why we do these discussions, to help those who are on a journey towards being better, to have a better comprehension in their studies. I hope we're doing our job. And you must practice and master our daily rituals to turn yourself inside out. The only way you're going to open your third eye is by doing the rituals. And that's what we're going to talk about today, concentration and meditation techniques, which is the process of helping one learn to open their third eye. And you must always be positive. If you want to accomplish any worthwhile goal, you must always be positive. And now the second goal is fighting Leviathan. This is what we've been at war with, especially within the last 500 years under racism and white supremacy. This includes working to free Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, who has been kidnapped by the dragon, falsely accused. He's innocent, totally innocent. Anyone who studies his situation and know about his situation will clearly see that. We did lectures on that. We also have discussions on Clubhouse. It's a club. If for those who know about the social platform called Clubhouse, it's like a international conference call system where brothers every Tuesday morning go over the master teacher's case, explaining all the facts. Do the research. Don't go with the gossip. Do the research. Don't go with the gossip, because there's tons of gossip out there that make you negative. Just do the research. In fighting Leviathan, one of the things we have to do is fight the 6 strongest weapons of a Leviathan, right? Which is ignorance. Leviathan feeds off of our ignorance, our fear, our ego, Anger/bloodshed. The Leviathan loves that. Lust/desires. Lies/deception. All of those are the energies that feed Leviathan. If you have it in your character, and we all have parts of that in our character, this is what we must overcome. And the last goal is to work to build Sabbati. We must have our own, right? What do the Christians say? God bless the child who has his own. We keep complaining about foreigners and Europeans and white people this and white people that. Well, we only complaining about that because we live with them. When you have your own, you can do what needs to be done. That's why we have to support each other in business goals and objectives, so we can create our own systems in society. We have all we need. What we don't have is the black magic, the love of blackness, where we support one another. That's what we have to develop. We don't need anyone else. We have all the resources, all the money, everything. If we just pull our resources together collectively, we can achieve our goals. And Ashuk, is the only key to accomplish all our goals. Divine love, Ashuk. What does it mean to be a Sabian? A Sabian is someone who's thoughtful and cares. Someone who's helpful and honest. Someone who's responsible and hardworking. Someone who demands justice and honorable. Someone who's righteous and humble. Someone who's excited and cheerful. Someone who's loving and peaceful. Someone who's kind and considerate. Someone who's neat, clean, and orderly. That's what it means to be a Sabian. You got to pick up all of those attributes, the part of your character and nature, and teach others. We've lost our morality. We do so many immoral things in what we learn in Western culture. And that's why we're destroying ourselves. Once we reestablish these moral principles in our character, life will transform miraculously for us in the better. Our purpose as Sabian is to liberate ourselves from adverse forces. 1, you must take action each and every day to free yourself of 6 ether spirits inside and out, which includes black people who are possessed by these spirit forces. 2, acknowledge and fight 6 ether from promoting capitalism, the gay agenda, miscegenation, the so-called equality of the races, and racism and white supremacy. And number 3, learn, live by, and promote the law/rules of natural nature. And each one teach one, family. Word of advice: do not judge this doctrine by watching the behavior of Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, nor his students. Judge this doctrine by the effectiveness of the information, aka information, that you personally put to practical use. If you don't live the coaching, you don't put it into use, then what good is it? Right? What good is it? This doctrine is based on self-authentication. You have to make it work for you. If you don't apply the things we're teaching, then what good is it? Make it work for you. Know that we're not preachers, but teachers who are dedicated to answering questions until there is a meeting of the minds between teacher and student, who then can work in unity, which is the only solution to our problems. This is why I do what I do, hopefully to find like minds who want to help in this mission of spreading the word. That's why I do what I do, to help find. Hopefully I find individuals who totally agree, and we agree with each other, and we can work together. Quote, what you do for yourself in kind depends on what you think of yourself in kind. What you think of yourself in kind depends on what you know of yourself in kind. And what you know of yourself in kind depends on what you was taught about yourself in kind. Quote, until the lion has their historians, the hunter will always be the hero. Last, the negative mind talks of what it can't and will not do for self and kind, always complaining about who they don't like or trust, whereas the positive mind always maintains the peace by not complaining about that in which they do not like, but focus on finding solutions to their problems, never allowing obstacles to get in their way of growth. All righty then. Now, with all that being said, today's discussion we want to talk about is the science of concentration, the science of meditation. Our whole culture, Wu-Sabat, is about spiritual development. How can one develop themselves spiritually if they're not doing the necessary rituals? Concentration exercises, meditation exercises. These are things you're supposed to be doing on a daily basis. I know a lot of people are not. And plus, I know a lot of people don't even know the science behind it. And that's why we're having these discussions. The master teacher wrote books on this subject matter. And that's what we want to go over. to give more clarity to the subject matter. So now that you'll have a basis on how to properly do rituals, you have knowledge surrounding doing rituals, right? Because there's a way in which one does it. Now, I will say this as a very important point. Before you do any rituals, you have to be clean. Before you do any rituals, you have to be clean. Before you do any rituals, you have to be clean. That's a very important point. A lot of people may not know that. A lot of people don't talk about that. Proper cleanliness before you get into any kind of spiritual work. Washing the body, making sure it washes you wash the body's clean, smelling, effectively, pretty good, and your mouth is clean, everything. That's key to doing rituals. Can't stress that enough. So the master teacher has written, these particular pamphlets on concentration. We have this one here on meditation. And there's two others I want to go on. This one is dealing with relaxation, right? A prelude to doing the concentration work, doing the meditation work. So we did a book on relaxation. And a third book is called The Conscious Being, right? Tapping into your own consciousness. What does it mean to be conscious? Right? And so we want to try to tackle all of these things on this main topic of meditation and this topic of concentration. So in this particular scroll, the scroll called Patarak stands for the way, right? Our way, which is the ways of living in harmony with nature. That's what a Sabian is all about, right? Connect and tuning yourself with the forces of nature, connecting yourself with the creative forces. This is the goal of all Sabians, right? And the way you do that is by doing the opposite of what you've been taught here in the West. Everything they do is completely opposite to nature or adverse to nature. It disconnects you. And when you disconnect it from nature, then comes the suffering and the anxieties and the pains and the stress and the anguish, all of the chaos that you see in the world today. All of that media is based on chaos. All the TV shows, the movies, everything is based around sex and death and lust and desire. All of their music is based around the same thing. The whole society is centered around keeping people totally disconnected, totally focused on their ego. That's why do you think we can't work together? Because everyone is absorbed with the ego, because that's what Western culture teaches us to do. Think about the individual gain, individual wealth, individual accomplishments. They build their whole society around it. They reward individualism. That's the only reason why you can have LeBron James making $1 billion as a basketball player. Same thing with Oprah Winfrey, $1 billion as a TV host. Individual accomplishments. That's what they value in this culture, the individual and not the group. So you have an individual who's wealthy while the group is suffering. Tons of that. A lot of the people that we see is rich and famous and all of these things, they come from families who are still suffering economically. Because the culture supports the individual, not the group achievement. Gawada, question: is there a mistake in the video title? Why did we do something wrong? You know what we did? We misspelled concentration. I just see that. Unless you see another mistake. Yeah, we did. I hopefully when the lecture ends, I can make corrections in the title. But I see I made a mistake in misspelling a word, but it should be concentration. So that was a mistake. That's definitely a mistake, if that's what you're referring to, unless there's another mistake. But that's the proper spelling of concentration, which is what we're going to be talking about. So if it's good you caught that. So let's get into this first particular reading, dealing with relaxation by the master teacher right here, Panabab Yananan. He writes, Ta Kach, right? Ta Kach, That's how you enunciate it. Takach. In our language, Sebeg is relaxation. Takach. It's a hard case at ch. So we say takach. And you got to get used to that, right? Because we say tones in the language of Sebeg that English speakers don't, we don't use those tones. So something we get used to. But let's start. Let's say leye or lehekum or lekum. Ae nawap u yasar ae karadu. For you, my Nawapian family, my children, what I must impart to you is wunawap, the most important, takach, relaxation on self-control, relation, and meditation. It's the key to health. The importance of a healthy you, a healthy brain, body, and spirit, a healthy mind, soul, and etheric being, a healthy deity being, right? Learning to be healthy in your, not just your physical nature, but your spiritual nature is what he's telling us here. He says a healthy kahen mukwan, which is a divine being, a nuwap mukwan, a supreme being, all by proper takach, relaxation and meditation, right? Make time to sleep, relax, and meditate. It's healthy. That's why we put in the process of health, meditation, concentration is a product of health. Our people don't know this. That's why we don't do it, because we're not taught. We go on to say, Nawapians, make quiet time each day, right? That's important, family. Undisturbed time with little or no motion except breathing. No noise except your own inner heartbeat. Peacefulness. Absence of worldly thinking. Relax and let go. Let your mind go to a place you never go. See, that's the basis of meditation, is to clear the mind. Right? Clear the mind, family. Remove all worldly worries. Sit alone, eyes closed. Remove all worldly things. Remember, Ai Habiba Kharatu, my beloved children, the very words healthy and health begin with the word heal. To heal oneself is step one. To heal one's whole being will heal one's whole body. Takach, relaxation, is simply to learn to relax. You must always remember what you must always remember is, if you eat flesh that has blood in it, this was spirit, life, and it becomes a part of you. Its spirit enters your spirit. Its fears and its aggressions become yours and visit your mind. Family, this is why our ancestors were all vegetarian prior to 6,000 years ago. It's why, because we understood all animals have spirit forces, life forces, and when you eat an animal, you take in their spirit force, and it can affect the way you think. So that's why we all messed up today, because we got all kinds of spirit forces moving through us, and we don't realize it because of the flesh. We eat flesh. We're all victims of this. This is why we have right now today to teach us why are we so messed up? Why is it so hard for us to get things right, to stay focused, to stay concentrated? Because we have all these conflicting thoughts. Those conflicting thoughts are spirit forces moving through us through flesh we eating, and plus the sexual partners we have. All of that brings in spirit energy into the body, something they don't teach you. They won't teach you because it's a part of the grand deception to control humanity. Let's keep going. So where are we at? Its spirits enter your spirits. Its fears and its aggressions become yours and visit your mind. You must not overeat or undereat before you meditate. An active inner body will distract you. Okay? And so that's why it's hard for a lot of people to meditate, because of conflicting spirits, which puts conflicting thoughts in your mind, family. Know this: by taking care of your outer physical body, you are protecting your inner body. And by poisoning your outer physical body will maim your inner being. Also, your mental state affects your Kahen Mukwem, divine being. Mental states such as anger, frustration, greed, hate, jealousy, lust, and outer emotions that can overpower your beings by desire or by physical intakes such as food, drugs, alcohol, smokes of many kinds, junk food, cigarettes, white sugar, white flour, and salts, all possessed by evil or all processed by evil demons in human form to prevent you from your divine transformation. They poison us, family, to stop our spiritual development. They poison us through their foods to stop our spiritual development. It's one of the things they did during slavery, to make sure we ate the worst of foods. And it stops your spiritual growth, family, because we bring in all these spirit energies into us and it plagues our minds and essence. These demons. I've talked about this in many of our discussions. This is why I say constantly study the lectures. Constantly study the lectures. Constantly study the information. This is necessary. It is extremely necessary to help you fight the forces that you're dealing with in your life, the lower forces, because that's why we're all disconnected from the higher spiritual realms. Right? I'm always talking about the smack circle, the higher dimensions, because we're on the lowest dimensional realm, the third dimension. You got a fourth dimension, and there's multiple realms in the fourth dimension, fifth, all the way up to 9. We're 9-dimensional beings, dropped all the way down to third dimension, and we're cut off from all life in existence throughout the balanced multiverse in these other realms. Why? Because we're binding ourselves because of our behaviors, because we don't have no spiritual knowledge, and it's locking us. We can't communicate or connect the higher realms. And so it traps you down here. You're trapped here on earth in this realm, this lower realm. And that's what Wu-Sabat, the culture, is teaching our people how to break out of this dimension. That's why the master teacher shows what's keeping happening to everybody here. I've said this many times. You have the earth right here in the center here. And you got to pass through 9 different gates to get out of this realm. The gate opens up every morning at 3:30 a.m. That's when people die. They're able to they leave the gates. Those who are able to resurrect out of this realm, but you got to pass through 9 gates. Most people don't do it, and they either reincarnate or they get trapped in these realms. Because the next realm is the plane of force, and the next realm is the spiritual plane. And each of these realms have subdivisions. They all subdivide into other densities. And so people get locked into these realms because when they transition, when they die, they didn't have no spiritual knowledge. They never, dedicated their lives to becoming spiritually conscious. And so they get stuck here, become disembodied spirits, which humans call ghosts. And Mukaso, the Caucasians, will never tell you this because his spirit forces feed off of us because we have soul force and they feed on that, family. Study the lectures as we keep teaching these things, but let us keep going. Okay. Also by sounds as unhealthy music or the lack of it, right? So he's talking about these are all of the things that trap us. The different types of sounds and music, also by lights for unhealthy cinema, which is movies and TV and the likes. Each person you stand beside or touch, exchange their being with yours. You hear that? Each person you stand beside or touch, exchange their being with yours because of your aura. Your aura extends out. And when you're next to somebody, their aura and auric energy is blending into yours. That's the science all to that. So, when you smell bad odors, you're breathing in matter or material substances of other beings. Bad carcass, dead body, or cells, eggs, or spoiled fluids in a human being of any race. Dead cells deterioration, the smell of death of many kinds, rot, decompose, decay, putrefaction, and or disease. A bad smell, odor, unpleasant scent, odorous odor is a sign of unhealthy or filth. Body odors are dead cells. Inner body odors such as bad breath, which you say rawa, breath, is a sign of something rotting in the mouth or inside the body, right? If we eat flesh, that flesh rots inside of us. That's why when you go to the bathroom and you do number 2, you smell. All that stuff keeps your vibration down. Genital organs, vaginal organs, inner or outer, that have an odor is a sign of disease or uncleanliness or rotten cells, dead eggs, and this state should be avoided. Bad odor is a sign of bad health. Avoid those with bad odor or you will intake their bad health. Avoid what is bad for your health. If you are a Nuwapian, and you love Nuwapians, then pull him or her aside and tell them, this is what I smell of you, and I wish to help you. Also, you can be told the same. Don't think you can tell another and not be told yourself. Don't become angered if one tells you about your body odors. Merely say thank you and investigate. Don't respond with, so do you, out of anger or embarrassment or shame. Never express outward another person's body odors. Speak to them in private. It's personal. If it's another's consort, which is wife, you may not approach the opposite sex if it's not your own consort, which is wife. Teach your children good hygiene, to be hygienic, to make them hygienically conscious. Teach them how to be clean inside and out, outside in. Teach your daughters that most women who don't have a husband is because of inner body odors, and they don't accept it, so they won't correct it. Therefore, can't keep a male partner. Your physical body can affect your mental state. Your body gases affects your mind as you breathe in and transform smells to liquids and into your bloodstream. Be clean, be healthy, be a deity over your body and your belongings, your home, your car, and your children. NoopooH, be clean and healthy. You may come in contact with NoopooH or Nuwapians or Sabians of foreign cultures who eat different foods and spices. Each spice has its own aroma, some very pungent and can be very spicy. Each has an odor of its own, and many people world over have been eating these spices in their foods for generations, some for many thousands of years. You may like or dislike it, as they may feel the same about the odors of the spices you eat. Know this fact and respect it. No amount of perfume, oil, or scent will cover all human body odors. Remember, you are looked at the same way for trying to cover body odors, and all is not because of cleanliness. Know the difference. So, as not to insult a NoopooH for what you don't know, yet NoopooH, this is by far not an excuse to be unclean and have body odors. A male may come in from a hard day's work of sweating or games or sport and have body odors. Wash before you affect others. There is no excuse to have feet with bad odors or disease. Cure them. Don't affect others with your neglect. Before sexual contact and right after sexual contact, bathe and shower. Clean yourself inside and out before you go to sleep beside one another. If you are too weak after intercourse to bathe, then you are not in good health. The longest couples don't sleep in the same bed. It's best to have your own bed, as not to deal with natural body reactions and odors. Now, that's something that a lot of people, us born here in the West, are not used to. In African culture, This was practiced in ancient times, where there was a separation in the communities between the males and the females. We didn't live the way we're living today because we had a community life. We didn't have this individual household families. Remember, the way the systems are set up in European systems is to maximize economic growth. So they want everybody to have their own homes, own apartments, so that they can buy them stuff. Everybody have their own TVs and own cable channels and their own sofas and own electric bill and gas bill and water bill. That's how they make money off of making sure people are divided. In our culture, we don't have all those economic burdens because everybody is sharing the resources. So our lifestyle was totally different in our culture, and how we do things the way we've been taught here in Western culture, which is designed for exploitation reasons. We must know this, family. So a lot of things we may say in our culture, Wu-Sabat, that may sound weird, like husband and, male and female not sleeping together. There's a reason for it. There's a science behind why we do what we do. So let's keep going. Each person has body actions, reactions, and odors that can be unpleasant to their partner. Too much time together is as bad as not enough time together. Know your consort and their roots, culture, foods, so as to feed them what is best for their body by generations. And your children, who may be of both, compromise for a healthy, lasting relationship. Bad food, bad smells, bad liquids, and bad persons is not healthy for you. People who are always angered is not healthy, and it's a sign that their 29 other voices is able to take control of them at random. Avoid them. Those are your ancestors. You're connected, right? We always teach you're connected to 4 generations of your ancestors, right? Your mother, your grandparents, if they transition, great-grandparents and great-great-grandparents, right? You're connected to them spiritually. So you hear their voices. A lot of our behaviors and habits come from our ancestors. They affect us in our decision-making, for those who may not know this. That's a science we used to know that we forgot. We are affected by your ancestors, the last 4 generations. Never forget that and teach that. Leadership does not give one the right to disrespect or act out of order to others. Leaders or teachers also can become possessed by inner spirit beings who act evil or ego or lustful or greedy. They must be put in check or replaced. If they don't correct their out of order actions, worlds, moods, or habits, any of you can do serious harm to yourself and others. Your inner spirits and you become weaker and weaker until you are out of control. Lost your soul, your ba. No one of position or rank is above acting the part they play in this life. No more. A position of authority does not exempt you from the rules of our holy scriptures. Patara. You are only there by delegation, and that is permission of all NoopooH or Sabians, authorization, not by nature. You were not sent down or incarnated to teach, only elected as any other can be. So act as if you know that and respect all NoopooH who respect you. This is healthy mental living. Power corrupts, that's a fact. Don't become corrupted. Through the teachings of Wu-Sabat, our culture, way of life, our fate, by ritual, you will be taught on how to nourish your body as well as your inner Mukwan being. If you ever had a venereal disease of any kind, it is recorded in your DNA, even if cured. So, is each infection you have had over the years, each is an invasion of your body by thinking bacteria or bacterial microbes, disease or germs. With you as a host, it becomes a part of your DNA. Once you have had a disease, it becomes a part of you and can affect your body chemistry for life. Some much worse than others, even to kill you. your consort, and or jarado, children. Be careful who you exchange your body fluids with and who others have exchanged their body fluids. Family, and this is all about why we not able to relax, because that's what this scroll is about. All the things we live in European Western culture that prevents us from being in a relaxed state. From the hygiene issues, from the disease issues, from the negative media issues, all of these things the master teacher is bringing up in this book to express the issues of relaxation. And once you're able to rid all of those adverse things from your life, then you can begin to really relax, because we can't really relax in the environments that we're living in at least in European Western culture. Okay. This can be very unhealthy until death, right? The disease. Women who have slept with more than 4 men after puberty have all their DNA in their bodies, and also all those they slept with before you. The same for drug addicts. It also became a part of your DNA. The drugs are a part of them for life and can be passed on to their offspring. Alcoholism is a disease as well and can be passed on to offspring. Smoking is an addiction, and it gets into your bloodstream and also can be passed on to offspring. These are tools of mudwa'u, evil ones, to kill your salal and keep them mentally and physically dead, and to seek to live in their unhealthy image and likeness. His way of life is based on unhealthy. Even their Za'amat religion's opinions is designed to damage one's healthy mind and thinking. The prayer system of Islamism is very damaging to the human khat or khatat, which is the human body. There are times in how one is to wake up, or it's many times each day and night. This makes one delusional in a state or in semi-trance like state as hypnosis. Yeah, because in Islam, he's talking about, and you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. So you got to get up in the morning, you got to pray in the afternoon, you got to pray, they're constantly praying 5 times a day, every single day, right? And it's one thing if they was doing it for spiritual development, but they don't do it for spiritual development because they don't have that science. They're just praying to this unseen spirit force they call Allah. And that's what he's saying. This routine that they're doing where there's no spiritual science involved in it, it's just a ritual that they're taught to do to worship some spirit force. And it just creates a state of unhealthy minds. And then when you look at Islam, you see chaos in their culture. So it goes on to say, let's see. He said, so there are times in how one is to wake up, or it's many times each day and night. This makes one delusional in a semi-trance like state or hypnosis, a spell-like existence, a form of mind control over Muslims. And this is found in Judaism and Christianism as well. Their fasting, their dress codes, their diets, their smelling of blood, in the killing of many animals in their religious rituals, offerings, and sacrifices. All these affect the akal, the mind, the body, and spirit. For a healthy body, you also need proper exercise and also proper rawah, breathing, partner and takak, relaxation, and diet as I gave you in the Pasadam Safa, the breath book. Family, and that's very important to study the breath book for those who may know about it, that the master teacher put out. That's a very, very important book to have for your own spiritual development. Okay. And again, we're talking about what are the things in order to relax, the things that you must avoid. And what he's really pointing out is all of the things we learn here in European culture, Western culture, all of the bad habits makes it impossible to be in a relaxed state. And if you're not in a relaxed state, how could you ever develop yourself spiritually? You'll always be disconnected from the spiritual realms. Intake as much clean water, sunlight, and clean air, a positive environment, positive people, positive sounds and music, Positive thinking are the requisite attendants that leads to a healthy, dynamic, and effective existence. Seek the facts, not faith, but your own faith. You must control your akal, your mind, and the first step is not to believe or just accept things. Use right reasoning. Proper takhak, relaxation, is needed to maintain mental, spiritual, and physical health. Many of you think takhak, which is relaxation, involves leaving home for some exotic place where the mind and body are ceaselessly pampered with stimulants and depressants and a full range of other damaging delights. Yeah, when we go on so-called vacation, and that's what people are doing. They're not relaxing. They think they are, but we constantly drinking and smoking and dancing and partying. And, we're doing the opposite of relaxing, what we call vacation. Then it goes on to say, true takhak, relaxation, comes from removing the stimuli, visual, audible, and otherwise, turning into the inner awareness of who you are without the they or inner voices speaking to you at all times. The whisperers, that's your family, those spirits that are constantly in us that puts thoughts in our minds, family. We talked about this many, many times before, how these lower forces influence our decisions. It's the whisperers, the they, in your own genes that causes you so much unrest, pain, and suffering. Take control of your mind, body, and spirit. Your etheric hatat, body and ba, soul, will follow. Like any piece of sturdy machinery, mortal beings' physical and mental bodies can take quite a bit of abuse before giving any signs of protest. Unfortunately, most thinking has become a practice to ignore the basic rules of health by blind religious faith, and to think that a pill here or there will relieve symptoms will actually bring about well-being, or a belief in some unconfirmed God or Allah or Jah will cure you. Quite the opposite is true. Pain in the body is a warning, like a red light on an instrument panel of a plane or a vehicle. Taking this or that compound of mankind's unnatural chemicals to remove natural symptoms is the same as taking a hammer and breaking a light bulb, right? You see that flashing light in your car, say warning, warning, warning. Well, that's what, when you get aches and pains in the body, that's warning, warning, warning. You don't ignore that. We do, though. It does nothing to solve the problem, and in fact may make it worse, while only giving the appearance of helping, right? The so-called medicine from them he's talking about. Many of mankind's made chemicals ingested are not useful to the whole body and cannot be eliminated naturally. They become a part of you, transforming you into an unnatural being, and they are therefore merely junk DNA. The medicine accumulated along with the food additives that are eaten in such abundance, on the average of 25 pounds per person per year, combines with each other to literally poison the system. Each true NoopooH studies his or her body and how each part works, its inner and outer workings. To know all about your body, your symptoms, glands, organs, skin, hair, liquids, this you must understand to know the way out of it. All you put in it, from food, liquids, and light, you must know and why. So all mankind intakes affects this, and the effects may take or be felt for many years. This does not mean that there is no need for modern medicine, yet herbs of your own are much better. Often doctors are considered to have some form of absolute knowledge, but too many frequent visits to the local general practitioner, specialist, or psychologist or are substituted for living a healthy life. And they don't teach you that. Their medical professions don't teach prevention. Their doctors don't teach prevention. There are a lot of illnesses we wouldn't have if we was properly taught what we should and should not do. This is why it's so important. We have to educate our own. We have to have our own school systems. We have to have our own systems, our own forms of communication, so that we can avert a lot of the pitfalls that we find ourselves, because we're spending a ton of money on health issues. And it's all because of bad behavior, things we've done that put ourselves in these bad health issues. If we didn't do these things, we wouldn't be in these conditions. But what did it? The culture we live. They advertise poison to us every day in their commercials. Most of the diseases of the mind and body can be eliminated by following the 5 basic points. 1, proper exercise. 2, proper breathing. 3, proper relaxation. 4, proper diet and much water. And 5, positive thinking, right? So now you know where I get these things from when I talk about the core principles of Wu-Sabat. Now you're seeing where I get all this information from. I just put it into a core, a condensed form, because a lot of people may not have read this. So that's why I go over the core principles of the culture every time we do our lectures, so that you know what we stand for, so that one knows what you're striving to become, the better you, the God and Goddess you. This is the way of Nuwapians. You must control your environment. You must know whom you are with, and you must know where you have been. You must know where you are from. You must think before you act. You must act as if you are thinking. That is healthy, right? And so this book, this particular scroll of relaxation, in essence, what it was about is telling you all of the things in this culture that makes it impossible to relax. All the things that we do that makes it near impossible to relax. We do just the opposite. And this is why we're so highly stressed. We live in a highly stressed environment, especially because, again, I go back to capitalism is what? It's based on competition. Competition puts you in perpetual stress. Especially because when you're competing and then you wind up losing, that puts you in stress. And this system is designed to do that. It's designed to create chaos. We have to know this, family. We have to teach this. Our people don't understand this system they living in. So let's go into concentration now. Specifically, this particular scroll the master teacher wrote on a subject. Now, concentration is tashad, right? Tashad. So we have relaxation is takach, right? Relaxation. If I get that enunciation correctly again. Takach, relaxation, and concentration. The Sebeg word for it is tashad, or tashad, right? That's the enunciation. So it says lehekum or lekum ai mumba'u shalal pa re'e. For you, my golden children of the sun, you have the Saham power to control your inner and outer Mugwan being by way of Tashad, concentration. Tashad, concentration, my Kharadu, children, is to focus, bring or direct one's akal, mind, toward a common center. Tatmal, meditation. And in this case, it's you, the single you, or an objective. Mastering Tashad, concentration, those beings, the 29 or more spirit beings, both agreeable and disagreeable Ka'au spirits or Munta'u specters or spooks, ones who appear from the lower realms or abodes, cannot break into your Faka'at thoughts, and you control your Nafas, self, link to your Ka'a spirit, then to your Nasham breath, also linked to your Ka'a spirit, and your Nasham breath also links to your Ba, linked to your Akak ether. So what the master teacher is saying here is that once you learn to master concentration, this is how you overcome the spirit forces that plague our minds. Once you learn how to develop a mastery of concentration, you can then learn how to control your conflicting thoughts, especially if you want to conquer addictions. Because all of the addiction is you're doing something repeatedly that you know is not good for you. But why do we do it? Because we can't control the thoughts. We get the thought to keep doing it over and over and over again. Because the thought creates a sense of pleasure. Remember, one of the challenges of humans is your desire to gain pleasure and your desire to avoid pain. Once you study the wisdom of the Hu tree, it teaches you this concept of pain and pleasure and how one must learn to balance it out. That's what Ma'at is about, balance. You don't go too far to the left. You don't go too far to the right. You balance yourself out. But what is an addiction does? It literally creates an imbalance. And so one has to learn to get control over their being. And you have to do these rituals in order to do that, to get control. So in fact, Tashad, concentration is a very important principle in Wu-Nawap. It is for Nawapians who seek to take control of their tatafat, emotions, moods, actions, and lives. As most of you know, our DNA, your genes, your chromosomes have been invaded by outsiders, right? They've been raping us for the last 500 years, family. As most of you know, a Nagato, you were the first genes on this Kawak planet. And as such, you were holders of the Gadad gene, the God gene, Kahen Zara, divine seed, DNA of Mafkuzat, the liquid gold. You were called the Najam Kharadu, star children, or the Mumba'u, golden children, because your DNA came to this Kawak planet in the DNA of Pa Natharu from outer space, also from Pa Khamemu, right? And that's what our ancestors, ancient Kemet, talked about. We come from the Khamunu or Khamemu, the Ogdogs, they say. From the deep sea, also from Pa Sabatu, to your Salafu ancestors. Sabatu, that's what we call ourselves, Sabaeans, because our ancestors come from the star system, Cyrus, who came to the planet. That's what Sabat is all about. We're connected to Cyrus or Sabat. Salafu, then to our own Manashtri, parents to you. By mixing your genes with those whose DNA has been invaded by weaker genes, it kills your connection to your ancestors, your Salafu, and cuts you off from the link to your homeland, Negroid land, Afafra'e Ka'a, Africa, spirit of the sun's rays, and home of the Shakhasu, people of the Ra'e, sun, Afafra'e Ka'a, Africa. Africans. All races came and still come into Africa seeking your pure, rich Kahen Damam, divine blood, because you are a part of Tabah, nature. Tabah works with your Khatat, body. Pa Ra'e, the sun, loves your Dalem Bashar, your dark skin, as its rays draws through dark colors, receiving its healing Sakhama powers. And Pa Ra'e, the sun, loves your dark ayantwi, eyes, your pupil. The dark color performs as a battery or of solar cells, drawing in the sun's nashat energy and sparks of nawar, light, as electrical sparks, electrobiology, the science of electrical phenomena in living creatures, right? So the master is talking about how we have the divine genetics, we have the divine blood, and everyone has been poisoning out divine genetics and divine blood. And if you want to fix it, you want to fix your bad gene, you want to fix all of these things. This is why the science of concentration you must learn and master. So now he's explaining why learning the science of concentration is so important, because of what happened to us genetically. They messed us up, and when you alter your genes, it cut us off. And that's why we're not in tune with the masters anymore, right? This is why we're not connected to Pa Mozaku, the Riskians. We can't communicate with them. The master teacher knows how to communicate with them, but he's teaching us how to communicate with them. And he's saying this is what you need to do to fix yourself if you want to communicate with them and talk directly to them. But you got to fix your genetics, and you have to do these rituals that will help correct you. So I hope we all get this. Why this is so important. Because if you don't communicate with the master's house, the masters are here to guide us in how we make decisions on this planet, so that we're not being confused, because we're making all kinds of crazy decisions. How are you going to counteract what the Mukasu Caucasians are doing on the planet? All of the other races are doing. How are you going to counteract? Remember, us as Africans, we're on the bottom. The Asians, the Chinese have more money than us, better military system than us. The Hindus, same thing, and the Caucasians, same thing. That puts us on the bottom of the human family. When we're the crate of everything. Everything comes from us through blackness. Everything starts with blackness, but we're on the bottom. And that's because we lost our mind. We lost our way, and we lost our culture and how we did things. We are great people, but we have to fix ourselves by fixing our decisions and how we live. That's the only way things are going to change for the better. Okay, so where are we at? So your dark ayantwi eyes are in fact solar panels of the spark of life and Nashat energy. Pa Ra'e, the sun loves your tightly curled spiral wabar hair, your nine ether hair, your dark to black hair, your kinky twisted hair, for they are like wire antennas. Your tasu achak, non-ether natural wabar, serves as an aerial ether to send out and receive radio signals, right? You can receive energy with your hair. If we didn't destroy our hair, processing it, doing all the things we do to our hair, you lose a spiritual connection, right? Imagine we knew that. And make note, as the oldest Salau race on this Kawak planet, you are the only race with actual hair. When a newborn Urada baby comes into this Tapao, which is world, their genes are at their weakest point. They have thin, straight, or wavy fur hair, fur, like all other animals on this Kawak planet. But as they grow, their genes become stronger, and their fur changes to wabar, which is hair. So yes, my Najim Haradu, star children, the Ra'e, sun loves your nappy natural hair. But your genes have been invaded by outsiders and are still being invaded by each genetic kiss or exchange of bodily maye fluids. Now, after 6,000 years of mixing with all those vampires who came to Nagaru Saka, Negro land, for your demand, blood, you have many invading Ka'a, spirits, Kawa'at, forces below 9 ether. So it's not about which Nagar is now lighter skin or which has thin hair, because all of you have been invaded with foreign DNA. And it's not about just the 400 years of slaves from 1600 or before, as far back as 1400 AD to the west and 400 AD to the east. The Spaniards, the Arabs came to Ganawa, which is Africa. That's the ancient name for Africa, family, Ganawa, and took you out to enslave you and drank your damam, your blood, and your semen, your ovum, as Dracula does his victims. However, your Kahen Damam, divine blood, did fight to kill them. Once inside their bodies, they became hemophiliacs. So they hemorrhaged or could not stop bleeding once cut. We did this in hopes it would stop the Kakasu from Latuk fighting, warring, and Katul killing. Yet you can't reform the Janan, the human devil. He kept on shedding demand blood and causing fasad mischief in the Sakat lands of others by invading Ka'u, raping, killing, and stealing like they're doing today. They can't help but keep killing, right? The wars and constant wars that they keep fighting, that they never get enough of, because that's how they get their power, through bloodshed, right? The powers of death. That's what Leviathan represents, family. Never forget that. Then it says, then he realized that the Kharatu, children of their mixing, were not born with hemophilia, so he kept invading Nagado Sakat, Negroid land, where all knew was Tahir, pure DNA, where the rich demand blood lived. As vampires, they set up new empires in Afafre Ka'a as trading posts to Rae, buy, and Baya, sell Afafre Ka'u, Africans, to others for your rich demand, blood, and mixing. Then on to the Empire State, or USA, a demand or blood bank of the kidnapped pure rich demand blood for the vampires. Not only an invasion of your Khata'u bodies, but now your very own Aka'u minds with their Satu Akak Ka'a Kawa'at, 6 ether spirit forces. They have you now wanting to mix with them. The Launa Mubrasu, the cursed leopards. So you can keep feeding them your Sekhemet powers from the Ra'e, sun. Now it is you killing your own genes and mentality. It has been implanted and programmed inside your Akal mind bank. You are under a Reiki spell, a form of hypnosis, a mental sleep state, a tadam, a trance, a state of suspended awareness, consciousness, yet unconscious. And the Kakasu enforces the Rake by lust, luster, and the sound of their Sawa'at voices all day on TV, radio, and cinema. Let us not forget the Majas sound of non-music they Hawu create all day. The smell of their bodies, perspiration, the Bara'at foods that they taught you to eat and like. The dress code they Lamud teach you to like and wear. They taught you to have canines in your homes that are watching you for them. They taught you to get Tamil drunk and Zahubla drugged. All of this to keep you spellbound. The Rake, spell of Lawi Tanan, Leviathan or Kingo, the religious of their images. And to top it off, they even teach you to walk by Ayantwi, eyes closed through this Anak life, so you don't see them for who and what they are. The Mudwa'u, the evil ones, the devils, the demons. They tell you to walk by faith, not by sight. This is Takshash, deception. Open your Ayantwi eyes and let the Ra'e sun in. See them for the bloodsuckers they really are. They need you. You don't need them. Now, with them invading your Khata'u bodies and your Aka'u minds, you can't think straight without hearing choice. Do this. No. Do that. Or go here. No. Go there. Trust him. No. Don't trust. Don't trust. Believe this. That's safe. Have blind faith. That's safe. These are the many voices that Washush whisper into your akal, your mind, to keep you under their rake, spell of ignorance. This is why they keep their voices in your ears all day and shadow hours. They keep their tones in the airwaves to block out the voices of your salafu, your ancestors, so you can't make that link. Now Wunawap has returned, and this most holy scripture that has come down to you from above has the healing in its wings. You are waking up with each genetic explosion, and as you read out these living words, you are renewed in your Kahen, divine being, and the invaders fade, dispirit, and disperse. They become disheartened, dispirited, discouraged, and low-spirited. Their voices become lower until you can no longer hear them. Their ranum chant to block out their tones and bring in, you chant to block out their tones and bring in your own salau, race tone, that kahin, divine sound of Amun, Anun, Atun, Atun, Tun, The vibration in the key of life. Note the ovum or the sperm. Soon you will hear only your own Nasabu relatives. Many of them have become trapped by Satu Achak Kawa'at, 6 ether forces. They only wait for you to call on them to Haru, free them. He's talking about a lot of our family are trapped, like I was saying before. They're trapped in these realms on a plane of force. They can't get through that 9th gate, right? These are the family members that he's talking about constantly whispering to us their desires. You got a positive family members that's stuck here, and you have negative family members that's stuck, right? Once you develop yourself spiritually and you become in tune with these realms, you can help free your family from this realm, and you can help them cross that gate. Once you develop yourself spiritually, what the master is explaining here, why you have to master concentration, so that you can block out all of those distracting voices and focus on your own true being, your true non-ether essence, the positive you. And so you don't allow negative thoughts to overcome you. This is key. So a lot of our family are stuck in these lower abodes. So this is, remember, the planet, this is the planet Earth in the center. And when someone transitions, they get trapped. These realms is called the plane of force and the spiritual plane. They get locked in these realms. They can't get to the mental plane. They got to go through this 9th gate. And because they never did anything spiritually, they don't have spiritual science and knowledge and know-how. They never meditated. They never did any concentration rituals. They never chanted. They never did none of the rituals to develop themselves spiritually so that they're prepared when they transition. Now that you're being educated and you're being taught what to do, now you can develop yourself spiritually and you can make contact. First, make contact with the higher ones. Of course, you have to raise your vibration to do that, to make contact with the Mozaku. This is what the master teacher is teaching us, though, on how to do it. It is a process, of course. You know, it is a process. You can do it. You can do it. But it's learning to one, take control of your habits, your desires. It's about willpower. It's about willpower. In this particular actual fact, this is called 18 plus 18 equal 37. The master says something here interesting in the very last page. Right here, if you see this diagram he puts here, right? This is your etheric being, your energy being here. He says it is high electromagnetic fields by which Panatharu, the overseers, reach out to you, and lower fields, your Salafu ancestors of your genes call out to you. So if you want to make contact with Panatharu, it says high electromagnetic fields. You have to raise your energy into a higher state in order to make contact with the Natharu. Right? It's easier. He's saying it's easier to make contact with your family because their vibration low. They're not advanced spiritual beings like that. People in your bloodline, like the masters are. But the reason why you want to make contact with the masters, because the masters are the ones with the right knowledge. They're the ones who can tell you how to overcome 6 ether forces. They're the ones that can tell you how to overcome the Mukasu. That's why you want to make contact with them. So I hope you know the difference. What what you're striving for. So we just explained why learning concentration is so important. Learning your tones is so important to block out the whisperers. They only wait for you to call on them. Haru, freedom. You as Nawab-U know the rituals. So you will be surrounded by 4 generations of your DNA, and you become the center of your family, Mukwan, universe, or Makwan. Once you have that in place, you will hear their voices. Some are agreeable, some disagreeable, and they also can make you lust and seek luster. So you must, should concentrate on your center being. Should. Concentrating on your center being is something that you should practice and try to master. You, Nawab-U, contrary to the Kak belief that the art of Tashat concentration or Tatma meditation is simple, it is not. Once you read and Tahum understand the Hakak, the actual fact called genetic kiss, which is about DNA, genes, and mixing your seeds with Dawah Ka'ahu, evil spirits, and Mudha'u, specters or spooks, you will see why. Nawab-U, as you pray or Ranum chant, your Akal mind drifts from place to place, from thing to thing, needs, sex, lust, and unstable Fakarat thoughts. It means that others are on your line, right? You're being that's just a sign why we can't think straight, because of possession. The spirits are on in us. Each person khatat body is of a memtat matrix of rakamat numbers. It's called ontology, the science of being, of the real nature of things. You're an ontologist as Nawab-U, Nawapians. You are always ontological in your thinking. Ontology is dealing with the science of everything, being connected to all. Ever ready for unos, responsibility, and able to respond. So your zero time reference is the point of your existence. And no one is likened unto you as you are Waha, unique, one of a kind. Each cell that completes you contains the whole of you as each Makak brain cell remembers each and everything that you see, hear, taste, smell, or touch. If you cut away part of the brain, you may appear in action, yet you cannot remove anything Sakura remembered. The same goes for each cell, as each cell is a unique you having the mathematical equivalency that consists of who you are, how you grew into your memtat matrix. So how things affect you is only you, and what you react to is only you. The you is what each person seeks in this world of taboo, confusion. And there are many that washush whisper into your being. The Janan, human devil, has to keep you off your Kabat center, distracted by all he offers you of food, fun, and pleasures. He offers you his Sawat voice, his Lawanak colors, his sound, his Tataf at emotions, his Takak at beliefs in place of your own, and you become out of your mind and inside his Akal mind, thinking like him and thinking it's your own original Fakarat thoughts, literally out of your mind. Family, this is why people don't support blackness. This is why we don't love blackness. We don't even realize it. We think to go to his schools. We think to get a job from them. We think to want to go to their restaurants. We think to want to dress like them, talk like them, walk like them. We don't realize we're under a spell, where we're constantly drawn to whiteness because of their so-called money and wealth, and away from blackness when we have wealth. We just don't use it. Look at all the wealth in Africa, and they're poor because they're out of their minds. Because they lost their black magic. They lost their desire to support one another. If they just work together, support one another, they would be one of the wealthiest, most powerful places on the planet. But instead, they allow foreigners to come exploit them. Why? Because they're under a spell of self-hate. And this is what black people all over the planet are suffering from. Because of the spirit forces, the master's saying. You got to learn how to concentrate, center on your one thought. You want to focus on your inner being, the positive you, the you that makes you want to listen to these lectures. You want to focus on the you that tells you need to meditate. You want to focus on the you that tells you need to do concentration rituals. That's the being, the voice you have to home in on and tune into and then listen to. The voice that tells you to smoke that weed, get away from it. The voices that tell you to eat that pork, get away from it. The voices that tell you to sleep with that girl you just met, get away from it. Those are the voices you have to overcome. All of the lower voices that tell you to do adverse things. Those are the negative forces that's in you. You have to block them out. You have to block them out. You have to block them out. Once you master concentration, you can block them out. And when they realize they can't use your body as a host, they fade away. I repeat, when they realize they cannot use your body as a host, they fade away. That's how you overpower them. But you got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it. If you're not doing any rituals, if you're not doing these things, these practices, how can you overcome your lower self? You'll never do it. You'll never do it. But you have the power to do it. And once you do it, share it. Teach others. Spread the word. This is how we transform the planet from chaos into order. That's what Matt is about, bringing back order. You're not, I tell you, insane. You are, in fact, outsane. You're outside of sanity or of sound mind, sensible. So efficient Tashad concentration is not easily achieved with all that has invaded your subconscious, akal mind, in your cells of your brain's consciousness while you are mawen, awake, and while you are nawum, asleep or sleeping, nawum, sleeping. Your world is the materialization of thoughts form, nawap-u, thoughts form of the Kahin Akalan, divine intelligence, and those Kawa'at forces of the spirit world after the Khatet al physical life. It exists as vibrations, as tones, as colors, seeking and feeling by your emotions or nashat, energy in motion, just as there are waves of heat, light, electricity, and nashat, energy. There are also thought waves linked to your sara'at, your etheric cord, to etherically or etherical kawa'at forces that you call spirit, munthar, specters, spooks, tayaf, ghosts, exoplasma. Thought has tremendous sakham power. Everyone experiences it to some degree, yet vibrate at different rates of akak, ether, from 1 ether all the way to 9 ether. So both the eternal existence and elemental existence are linked. Just as on the atomic nashat, energy or elements from atoms called the periodic table of elements or physical bow, each having atomic weight and an amount of protons and neutrons. So Nawab-U, you also have Nashat energy in the etheric periodic table of Nashat energy called submatter. First is 1 ether, and submatter is intertwined with hydrogen. And second ether is in submatter is intertwined with helium. Third ether is intertwined with lithium. Fourth ether with beryllium. 5 ether is with boron. 6 ether was with carbon. 7 ether is with nitrogen. 8 ether is with oxygen. And ether with fluorine, which is ninth, and so on. This ninth element is of a gaseous halogen group called the chlorine. Both are yellow-greenish gases with toxic, suffocating effects on the catechal physical lungs. Fluoride, which is F9, and its compounds, fluorides, are used today for the production of nuclear bombs, to rocket fuel, to dental products. Chlorine and its derivatives, chlorine dioxide, chlorate, and chlorite, are widely used today in water as disinfectants, and also chloroform, once used as a liquid anesthetic, will put you, Hamam Mukwenu, human beings, in a deep sleep. So you see, lights out, NoopooH, at the ninth element. Then the 10th element, neon, and the intertwined 10th ether is that sparkling light seen at the Mu'at, death of the Jasad, flesh. It is a bright glowing atmospheric gas as in neon lighting. So you have number one, or hydrogen, and colorless gas, and fluoride F, and chlorine halogen as a yellow greenish gases, and akak ether as a colorless liquid gas, also used as an anesthetic. You can see the cycle of intertwining eternal existence and elemental kawaii existence, and it could be used 1,000 times more effectively if one had a comprehensive tahum understanding of the workings of fakar, thought vibration, in relationship to nashat energy or ethereal beings. So let me stop right here, family. So the master teacher he's getting into a lot of science stuff, but when you look at the periodic table, right, you have first element is hydrogen. Then you have over here is helium, number 2, which is red. And then you have lithium, number 3, yellow. Beryllium is 4, blue. Boron is 5. 6 is carbon. 7 is nitrogen. 8 is oxygen. And F9 fluoride is 9. 10 is neon. Now, for every elemental element, right, it has an etheric counterpart. So you have one ether with hydrogen is connected to that. Second ether is connected to helium. Third ether is connected to lithium. 4 ether is connected to beryllium. 5 ether is connected to boron. 6 to carbon. 7 ethers nitrogen. 8 ether, and 9 ethers connected to fluoride, and you even have 10 ethers. So it's all, meaning the physical and the spiritual realms are intertwined. The physical, which is the atomics we're talking about now, and the spiritual realm is the etheric realms, and it goes up from 1 ether up to 9 ether, and then it recycles. When it says 10, it recycles again into a higher abode, a higher dimension. So when you're looking at the smack circle, let's go back to the smack circle. You know, as you're going up higher, it's recycling itself. So if you're in a 4 ether realm, you go with 1 up to 9 in elements, and then when you get to 5 ether, starts again 1 ether all the way up to 9. You get to 10, starts again to 6, and so on and so forth. It can be a little bit complex, but take your time, right? Study what I'm saying, But I just wanted to go over it a little bit because it does get into a little sciencey. Point being is this: you have spiritual power. You're connected to the spiritual realm, right? You have to understand that. But you have to develop these rituals of concentration, these rituals of meditation techniques to connect you with the spiritual realm. Then you can make contact with your ancestors. You can help your ancestors who are trapped, and you can get guidance from your ancestors who are in the higher realms. This is what the master is explaining and why the rituals are so important. So I hope that makes sense. So let's keep going. He says, also, Tahum, understanding the techniques for controlling them and the method of transmitting them to others at a distance, which is called telepathy, right? As you're developing your mind through these rituals, you have the ability to send off thoughts, telepathy. The path or patarak through akal, mind to mind, mental, is one of your four higher senses. By Tahum, understanding and realizing the Sachem power of the akal, the mind, you can see distant objects, hear distant sounds, even send balagat messages to any part of the Wahoo Makwam universe, or visit any point in Wakut time or dreams. You can time travel, family. You can heal Shakhasu people thousands of miles away and move to distant places in no time at all. That's the power of thought, family. Just as when you think of a place, there is no limit to the Sachem power of your akal, mind. Consider when flowing loosely over a wide area, the very force in the Tabah, nature moves slowly and with less Sachem power than if gathered in one mass, flowing one Tapshar direction through a single restricted outlet, dammed and accumulated. Once the sluggish and leisurely flow of a river rushes out with amazing coact force through the stream, the warm rays of the Ra'eh sun focused through a magnifying glass becomes hot enough to burn objects. Such is the power generated by the Tashad concentration of force. So what he's saying is once you master concentration, you can direct your mind to achieve miraculous things. That's the key, family. But in order to get to that point, we got to overcome the law of forces. This is what I've been struggling with since I've been a student of the master. You know, because first, when you come into the culture like I did, I didn't know any of this stuff. And it took me years to even get to this level of comprehension. So once you first got to comprehend what we're saying, and then you have to put it into application. Because how can you apply something you don't comprehend? But it took years to even comprehend this stuff. In fact, I didn't even begin to really comprehend a lot of these concepts that the master was saying until about 2007, when I had my own little spiritual awakening. Then once you get to a level of comprehension, then you got to overcome all your bad habits. That's what he's saying. Our DNA has been infested, he really said, for 4 million years, not just 6,000. So there's a lot of corrections that we have to overcome. That's why it's been such a challenge for students, at least for those who are on the spiritual path, because you have a lot of students who are not even trying to fix themselves spiritually. So, that is what it is. But let's keep going. All right. So now, where are we at? Such is the power generated by the Tashad concentration of force. This Taba'al Sadat natural rule or law is also applicable to a Musiye, mortal being. Mental Tashad concentration is the fixing of the Akal mind for an extended period of time on one external point, right? So you want to put your mind on one specific point. And once you can master that, family, you can accomplish miraculous things. But the key, like I keep saying, is overcoming those lower forces in us. That's the challenge. We got to quiet all of those spirits in our DNA that put all these conflicting thoughts we have. Don't do this. Don't trust this person. Check out this. Don't listen to them. Go over here. Eat this. Eat that. Don't do this. Don't do that. We get all these freaking thoughts. Not to mention all the TV we watch, the radio we listen to, get music. Sometimes I got songs pop in my head that I haven't listened to in years. Because remember, the body is, your DNA is a recorder. Everything your DNA experience, everything your body comes across, you record everything. That's why that dragon floods us with media all the time, advertisements all the time. He knows that. He knows how to keep us untuned. That's why the master said, it's very difficult living out here in the world and you're trying to resurrect. That's why we're supposed to come together as a community. The problem is coming together as a community. How you going to find righteous-minded people? We come together, well, all of us are sick. Sick people trying to come together and resurrect. That's the problem. That's why it's been such a challenge. Because everyone's sick. We're all addicts. Addicts are going to come together and fix themselves. We tried that, and it just created more chaos. In fact, it landed where the master teacher is, dealing with these addicts. Look where he's at. So we have to figure out a more comprehensive way to overcome the challenges we're dealing with. It's a serious problem. Keep in mind, family, we've been dealing with this for 6,000 years. The master only been here for 50 years. Just the fact of all he explained in the last 50 years is amazing to itself to even get us to this level of reasoning. Especially when you look at the majority of our people are totally lost. It's no joke. Mental tashad concentration is the fixing of the akal mind for an extended period of time on one external point. There can be no tashad concentration without something on which to gather the rays of the akal mind can rest. It must be a single objective, idea, or shakas, person. Shakasu people sometimes pride themselves on being able to think of Shayantui, two things at once, but the akal mind does not work this way. Its oscillating waves are merely bouncing back and forth with lightning velocity between the two ideas. The akal mind can only do one thing at a time. Anyone who imagines that a mundane chore such as dishwashing goes faster if they are thinking of palm trees and a sunny beach are fooling themselves, because their mental waves are moving between the daydream and the task at hand. The tatfat, attention actually given to the work, is thus slowed down because of the constant interruptions, and the hands slow down too. Think of how much better it can be to keep the akal on one point and finish the job in half the time. Everyone possesses the ability to hashud, concentrate to some degree. What has been cloudy and hazy can become clear and definite. What was sa'ab, harsh, difficult, complex, and confusing can become easy. One is able to work with greater efficiency, more tasks done in less time. One's capacity and mental powers increase. Tashad, concentration, can also prevent or minimize the problems of senility. With the most disciplined tashad, concentration, and focused tatfat attention, the surgeon operates on his or her patient. Deepest absorption describes the state of the technician, the engineer, architect, or painter engaged in drawing out minute details of a plan, chart, or sketch in which accuracy is of highest importance. Well, that same mindful tashad concentration is necessary on the nefestile spiritual path, where aspiration must be applied to overcome internal kawa'at forces, the many sawa'at voices, and washush at whispers, right? So the master's saying, in order to become a master at concentration, you have to overcome all of those energies, lower forces, spirit forces that plague our minds, right? So we keep saying, Through the achievement of one-mindedness, that single voice, the real you, will be found. And for Naja progress in this Tapshar direction to be made, it must be developed to a very high degree. Practice demands sabor, patience, sawaf, will, untiring persistence, and regularity. So you must work at it to find your kabat center, free your salafu ancestors, and destroy the evil invaders in your mukwan, the being inside you, right, family? Get rid of those demons in you. You must make time to align yourself, to learn to listen to the inner you, to reunite as your jazar, root, natat, seed of your genitals. The sounds A, which is Anuki, it means I am. And next sound E, which is Inen, which means we, as in ovum and sperm. That is the two become one to birth I, Ibab, which is heart. And O and U, the vowels needed to shape the sounds. So you have Amun, Anun, Atun, Atun, Aun. And that's why we chant, right? We chant Amun. 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 Just by doing that, you feel the body vibrating, right? The vibration. This is the goal. This is the key to raise the vibration. Do the rituals, family. Do the rituals, family. So now you know about concentration. So let's be quick. We're at our time, but we're going to keep going because you got to get this. This is important. I'm not going to stop. You need this last part, meditation. Meditation, meditation, meditation. This is very important. So now you know the science of concentration, right? Focusing on one thing. Put your mind to one thing. Focus on and developing that, practicing it each and every day. Concentrate on one thing. 15 minutes a time, twice a day. 15 minutes at a time, twice a day. One thing. You need to do it for 30 to 90 days to develop this into a habit, into a skill set. You have the power to do it, family. So what about meditation, right? Meditation. We say talat or talut. Okay. Let's deal with this real quick. We're not going to be that much longer. Meditation. So we did concentration. When meditation, family, you're going to have to revisit this lecture. You have to study what all that we went over. Very important. Very important. You got to study this information. You got to put the principles into practice. You have to put these things into practice if you want to see results. If you want to change the conditions on the planet, you have to overcome the lower forces that's plaguing us. Real quick, the master teacher said this in the very beginning of our teachings. This is one of the first books he wrote. I talk about it a lot. Bible Interpretations and Explanations. This is book 2. Came out in 1968. 1968. Look at the first 2 paragraphs. He says this, paragraph 1. As stated in booklet 1 entitled Bible Interpretations and Explanations, there is an evil hypnotic spell cast upon the Ethiopian woolly-haired people by nature, everywhere by Leviathan via Caucasians in their Bible. And the adverse spell is also in the atmosphere itself because Leviathan emanates it. It is the ghost spell of spiritual ignorance and racial indifference. And the only way the opium light hypnosis can be destroyed is by right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, working with nature and its atmosphere of the new cycle, the revolutionary cycle, now coming in because right knowledge, wisdom, and understanding produce right thinking, and right thinking causes us to follow the right way to liberty and equality through right words and right works. Right knowledge is truth, and truth is the best knowledge. Therefore, if information is the best knowledge, it is the right knowledge. Paragraph 2. Part of the evil spell is here's the key, family. He said this in 1968. He says part of the evil spell is negative spirit forces within the oppressed, dispatched there by Leviathan. This means, although those negative spirit forces are within the captives, they are enemies of the captives, and thereby working against the captives by compelling the oppressed to do the very things that are against the oppressed and arise from their serfdom, right? We're taking drugs against our own best interest. We alcoholics against our own best interest. We're gambling against our own best interest. We eat poison food against our own. Why are we doing all these things against our own best interest? Because of what? These spirits. We are pimping, we're hoeing, we're doing all these things against our own best interest. Why? Because of these spirit forces. The master was explaining this in the 60s. Do we listen? No, we won't hardly listen because we're possessed. It's possessed. And not to mention the Mukasu and his media machine that keeps the brainwashing going. So I just needed to point that out. But let's go back to the meditation. So we did concentration. Now we did relaxation. We did constant. Now we talked about concentration. Now we're talking about meditation. The reason I say greetings, Nawapians, and not Cosmosin, is because the art of meditation can be beneficial to all Nawapians, not just those Nawapians that are members of our sacred fraternity, the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek. Thus, for all of my beloved students, devotees, fellow Cosmosians, I will now take the time to explain in detail the nature and function of meditation, the specific steps towards it, the easy way to learn methods of practicing it, and the great benefit that comes out of regular practice of meditation. However, there are things about the art of meditation in this book that are only for Cosmosians, because of the art of meditation is a sacred art from the members of the ancient mystic order of Melchizedek. As a Cosmosian, you will know, as I will always say, those who tell don't know, and those who know don't tell. Now, in the last 15 years, I have initiated thousands of people all over the world and from all walks of life to the practice of meditation. I cannot emphasize enough the immense value and benefit to all practitioners of meditation. The step-by-step direction for meditation can be followed by the beginners as well as by the experienced and advanced meditators. I have drawn upon my own experiences from ancient methods and modern psychological ways and means. In order to be successful in meditation, you need three things. First, you need determination and resolution to follow directions faithfully. Second, you must practice meditation regularly, at least for 3 months. Third, you must learn to lead a life of moderation and follow in your daily life moral, ethical principles of life. Good meditation to you, Nawapians, right? So he's talking about we go over that in our principles. What does it mean to be a Sabian, right? Someone who's good, caring, thoughtful, kind. All of those things have to be in your character when you're doing spiritual work, family, if you want spiritual practice to work. Okay? I go over that in our core principles all the time. What does it mean to be a Nawapian? Someone who's thoughtful, someone who cares, someone who's helpful, honest, all of that. Study this. Because do not be doing spiritual work and you're not a good person. Okay? So let's keep going. Good. It says here, now you may ask, Master, what is meditation? Good question, Nawapian. Meditation may denote contemplation on a prayerful communion with Hu, which is the creative force. So we say Pa'ut, right? The source of the universe. The Sumerians and Egyptians practiced meditation. The word meditation in Nawapic is tatlat. It's been updated, or we say talut, is another word for meditation, family. Or talut, he says here, meditating. Talut meaning as a cosmosan, you will learn to talut, meditate in the Western world has many different meanings. It may mean deep or sustained thinking or attention upon an idea or a problem. It may signify a state of uninterrupted silence or solitude, or a state of profound tranquility. To some Westerners, meditation is a very mysterious and mystical thing which has been brought from the esoteric Orient to the West by a few Westerners or Orientals. Some people think of it as an absolute useless pastime. That's your materialists who think like that. Moreover, the current phrase transcendental meditation seems to be simultaneously confusing, vaguely interesting, and tantalizingly simple. When you try to explore in depth the meaning of the word meditation, you realize that it covers a wide area of activities of inner life. It is indeed a sustained thinking and attention, silence and solitude, peace and tranquility, contemplation and prayerful communion. Yet, it is much more that these states and functions of the mind. It is a lucid state of deep awareness in which profound peace and wisdom abide simultaneously. It is a process through which the mind becomes unwinded and then transcend itself and enter into higher consciousness. That's the goal, family, of meditation, is to enter into a higher consciousness. Remember, I taught, study this, the 3 levels of consciousness. You have your conscious mind, right? You have your subconscious mind. That's where your memories are stored. And then you have your superconscious mind. That's your oversoul. And this is why you're meditating, to connect with your oversoul, family, to connect with your subconscious, where you get access to all your memories, and then connect with your oversoul, where you get access to your guidance, and you're on a whole nother level then. So he goes on to say, meditation establishes a living link of mortals with its vast inner realities, which is hidden and formatted in normal conditions of the mind. A truly successful meditation brings about an integration of the normal consciousness with its higher counterpart. That's what he's saying. You connect with your higher consciousness, your super consciousness. That's the goal of meditation, family. Let us try to understand the nature of meditation from another viewpoint. Most of the time, mortals are thinking various thoughts. Mortals seeking immortality, mind jumps from subject to subject, idea to idea, object to object, in an irregular fashion. In meditation, there is first a calming of the mind, then concentration upon a few thoughts in a systematic manner, then upon a single thought. Finally, the thinking is transcended altogether in a transcendental consciousness. So the goal of meditation, family, is to clear your mind of all thoughts, unlike concentration. Concentration is about focusing on one thought. Meditation is about no thoughts, putting your mind in blackness. That's your goal. Put your mind in blackness. That's your goal when you're meditating. Most of the time, mortals are physically active. Your eyes move. Your hands are restless. Your body is in careless motion or ceaseless motion. In meditation, all physical movements stop. Most mortals are struggling, straining, and working. In meditation, all of these strivings come to a momentary halt, and the energies, both physical and mental, flow inward. Instead of becoming there is a being. Instead of sound, there is silence. Instead of struggle, there is harmony. Instead of going out, there is a going in. Thus, in meditation, the mind gradually becomes calm and serene like the still surface of a lake, pure darkness bliss. In that silent transparency of the mind, the pure consciousness is vividly reflected, and the mind returns for the time being to its inner sanctuary, which is the soul, right? That's your oversoul. In that state of profound unity, the intelligence, the feeling, the willingness is effused into an unbroken stream of consciousness. Therefore, in meditation, there is no agitation of any kind, no ripples, the perfect stillness of inner being. There is only a lucid awareness, and the mind reflects like a mirror in reflecting the wisdom of the soul. In meditation, the ego is overcome and the soul manifests its hidden goodness, truth, and beauty. You ask, how old is meditation? Meditation is as old as existence. Therefore, it is as universal as the nature of mortals. It has been practiced throughout the world by humans and deities from all walks of life and existence. Modern as well as primitive cultures over the world have practiced in some form of meditation for thousands of years. The art is as ancient as the primitive societies and as modern as the atomic age. Therefore, you must clearly understand once and for all times that it is an inseparable component of human personality that links one to the all, Pa'ut. So in order to connect, family, with the creative force, Pa'ut, it's through meditation. Okay? The ability to meditate is definitely present in all of us. It is not a monopoly of the exotic. Human personality and the ability to meditate is definitely present in you all. It is an inequality of every human being. You all possess the capacity to be quiet, to be absolved, to be in tune with your inner being. After an hectic period of activity, you want to be relaxed and still. During moments of crisis and deep problems, you want to be alone and think things over without interruptions. So you just darken or cut off the light, sit back and relax in peaceful meditation. I'm teaching you how to do just that. After an intense group activity, you seek personal solitude. After experiencing the sound and noise of the day, which was the point of chaos, when the day came into existence, when you said, let there be light, therefore, that there was supreme balancement, darkness. You inevitably long for silence, darkness, supreme balancement. After a period of physical actions, you'll like to be physically quiet. Similarly, the power of concentration, which is the fundamental step towards meditation, is very natural to mortals. In fact, in the course of a single day, you are called upon to concentrate on many things. Every form or function, physically or mentally, demands some form of concentration. Driving, writing, talking, reading a book, planning, cooking, prayer, all artistic and technical endeavors, sometimes a beautiful, serene environment, a dark, quiet place, tranquil music, 100 different sights and sounds of nature and life around us can easily hold our undivided attention over a long period of time. In those moments of absorption, you lose yourself in wrapped wonderment and joy. Patience, Nawapians. To sum it up, meditation is natural to mortals seeking immortality all over the world. I'm here to teach you the art of meditation. It is not a mysterious thing which has been imported to the Western world from the exotic Orient. It has been practiced in many forms by millions of people, ancient and modern, right here in America by the true Native Americans, just as sound physical and mental activities, group participation, and similar affairs are natural to mortals. So also is silence, solitude, and interpersonal experience are inevitable. Necessities of human life. Finally, all beings, including children, are naturally capable of attention, concentration, and absorption, which are essential steps towards successful meditation. Children can be seen giving undivided attention upon many things that catch their fancy. The many huge butterflies, a bird, a colorful flower, a magician doing an old trick, a fine storyteller. The right attitude towards meditation. Sometimes intense effort for having true meditation is ineffective because of the absence of the right attitude. Therefore, the successful meditation depends a great deal upon the correct resolution and the right approach. From the very beginning, it is essential to discipline the mind with the right attitude and right knowledge, right wisdom, and right understanding, which leads one to sound right reasoning before actual step towards meditation can be taken. If one has, from the very beginning, the correct frame of mind, one can move swiftly and confidently in this matter, and the process is rapid and certain. First, one can never just capture meditation by force. You do not get meditation. You can only receive it. Just as it is impossible to enter into deep sleep by force, one can generally slide into meditation just as one goes into sleep. Therefore, the meditator who wants to meditate has to suspend your normal drives, the restless urge of your ego, the power of will. In meditation, these normal urges, passions, and desires have to be set aside. This is a difficult task because most of the time you move forward to obtain things through ego-driven forces. Yet, through effort and understanding, you can reorient yourself towards meditation, which calls for the gradual silence of the mind, the surrendering of ourselves to higher consciousness. Therefore, the first correct attitude is one of patience and submission, of surrendering and opening of the inner spirit of meditation. Second, there should be no desire for obtaining things from meditation. If one expects quick and miraculous powers, if one is eager to develop ESP abilities through meditation, if one is restless for immediate results, if one is geared to great expectations in a hurry, then every attempt at true meditation shall be a failure. For intense expectations create impatience, greed, and tension, which are the lifelong enemies of meditation. Given these instructions, when there is no looking beyond the joy of meditation, when there is no projection of desire, there is a tremendous lifting of the spirit and an experience of great peace and power during the times of meditation. So, let meditation be sufficient unto itself. Let there be no ulterior motives in meditation. This is the second important thing in having the right frame of mind. Family, so you must know this. Remember, the goal of meditation is to become one with your oversoul. The goal of meditation is to become one with your oversoul. If you bring desire into your meditation, remember, desire brings you back to the material realm. So it locks you here. So it does the opposite of what you're trying to achieve. So don't be listening to people on these other YouTube channels telling you to meditate to get your goals and all that stuff. That's a different thing. You know, this whole what they talk about, the art of attraction, the law of attraction, all that's a different science. It has nothing to do with what I've been talking about when it comes to meditation, and it has nothing to do with what I was talking about as far as concentration, which has another objective. Concentration, right? We just explained your goal is to overcome those lower forces plaguing your mind. So we have different objectives when it comes to meditation. We have objectives when it comes to concentration. We have objectives when it comes to relaxation, right? Is what we went over those things. Now you can obtain material things through spiritual awareness once you become aware of certain things. That's a whole nother discussion, though, that I'm not going to get into right now. Now, number 3. Third, meditation is not possible under a spirit of compulsion. If you go to meditation under stress, then you cannot obtain fulfillment. For meditation is not a matter of should it is a matter of must. Again, going to the other extreme, if you practice meditation, it will not come to you, meaning it is successful when there is joyful participation in it, and when there is spontaneous cooperation with it. The head and the heart must combine to produce a harmonious state of mind. Therefore, in meditation, you avoid the extreme of obsessive compulsion and dull mechanical routine. Family, that's one of the reasons why most people prayers don't work. That's what I was talking about in Islam, because they act like robots. They don't understand the spiritual principles in the rituals they're doing. You have to become in tune. That's why you have to have the right knowledge about these things before you approach it, or it won't have no real effect. Let's keep moving. Study the videos, all of the lectures. We go into all the things you need to get right with yourself, and so that meditation and concentration will work for you. So understand when we say, what does it mean to be a Sabian? All of those principles, we go on. What does it mean to be a Sabian? It's about being a good person. Point number 4, meditation is the opening of the spiritual door of life. It is a dual process of opening and reception. I receive meditation with an open and grateful heart. I gladly respond to its call, and my inner spirit blooms like a hidden flower. Thus, response and reception, acceptance and gratitude should characterize my attitude towards meditation. Above all, you need a sustained faith to help you in time of success and mandatory failure. You need a firm resolution to go on. The beginners start to meditate, and the first beneficial results are almost instantaneously. They feel fine. There is a surge of inner power. Then there is an inevitable a period of tranquility, and progress is not so rapid. At this time, some tend to give up, and the task seems to be rather difficult and odless. Precisely at this moment, one needs that hope to carry on. If one can only hang on at this crucial period, the failure is dramatically transformed into success. Afterwards, progress is rapid. The primary step towards meditation. With the right frame of mind and correct approach, with resolution and faith, the meditator moves closer to the heart of meditation. Here are the essential primary steps. Find a quiet, clean, peaceful spot for meditation. The outdoors is all right if the environment is harmonious. A spot in open nature may be used for meditation, which is sheltered from public view and strong winds. But I suggest you prepare your personal shrine, for it eliminates an oppressive atmosphere, noise, lights, and other forms of distractions. In order to create a wholesome atmosphere for meditation, you can place the pictures of the masters on your walls. Scent the room with cosmos or the all scent. He's talking about incense, family. And play your meditation tapes. If you are sitting on the floor, use your meditation mat or your prayer rug. When you sit, make sure you hold your spine erect, not rigid, but straight and relaxed. It is advisable that you meditate at least twice a day, every day, not letting it affect your responsibilities, because this will inevitably bring about an inharmonious environment. Once at what many refer to as dawn, and again after the planet moves to the point where the sun is seen. If you can, he's talking about 2.2 times of the day to meditate, family. Once when you get up in the morning, and then like in the afternoon, like 3 p.m. if you have the time, but some people can do it in the evening. If you can sit in this position comfortably for 10, 15, or 25 minutes, please do so. That's the lotus position. Now they say the time you should meditate should be related to your age. If you're 25, 25 minutes. If you're 35, 35 minutes. If you're 45, 45 minutes. You see that? But if you're not used to it, start with 10 minutes and then move up to 11 minutes and then move up. Wait a week, go to 15 minutes, right? Once you condition yourself, then you can do meditation at longer and longer intervals of time, even up to an hour, 2 hours, depending on your skill set. Okay, family? However, contrary to popular belief, it is important to remember that it is not necessary to sit in any one position. The Nawapian way simply states that any posture is suitable for meditation if you are at ease and comfortable in the particular position over a period of time. So, if you cannot sit in a specific position, do not force yourself to do so. For any uncomfortable position would only create discomfort and hamper your concentration and meditation. Once the position is taken, it should not be changed in that duration. If it is at all possible and necessary, you sit on a straight back chair, hold your feet firmly on the ground, and place your hands upon your knees and keep the back straight at all times. If you can sit in a meditation position, but your back still hurts, use the wall for support for your back. You may put a cushion between your back and the wall. There are some people who lie on their backs and meditate. This position is, of course, rarely assumed for meditation. Yet, if it is the only position which is suitable for some people, I recommend it without hesitation. It is especially comfortable for people who are either weak or ill in bed. Thus, without hurry or rush, find your own individual posture for meditation. And I'm going to stop right there, family. So now you understand the art of meditation. The goal of meditation is to blank the mind, because you want to put your mind in a state of darkness and blackness and tranquility so that you can connect to your oversoul, your higher mind. So that's why you can't have all of these other thoughts. The goal of meditation is to blank the mind. The goal of concentration is the focus of the mind on a specific thought. That is the difference. But in order to have a successful meditation, in order to have a successful concentration, you have to learn to relax. And we talked about that first. So, with all that being said, we covered a lot. Spread the word, study this discussion, It's a lot of information, will help you on your journey. If your goal is to transform yourself back into a Nathar, you have the ability. The power is within you. Use it or you lose it. With that being said, Moisar, my family, YouTube family, spread the word, support, become members of NoopooCC.com, Noopoo.org. Help us grow, help us build, help us conquer Leviathan. Right? We can only do it together. We can only do it together. And for those who may know, I'm on Clubhouse. I've been on Clubhouse as another social engine platform. It's like it's a conference call, and I have discussions there every Saturday, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So for those who are familiar with it, join us on our Saturday discussions. Until then, I'll be back next week. Right, I'll be back next Tuesday, and we're gonna we're going to continue our build towards greatness. We're gonna accomplish our goals, family. We really will. Till then, Wadu Muisar.